So when it comes to the structure of the type of program that you may find as you're seeking out a study abroad advisor, agent, or consultant, you're going to find that there's kind of basically two different approaches. And I sort of touched on it in the other question, but I want to just dive a bit deeper. And so in this particular part of it, the structure, this is where advisor and consultant sort of overlap because, as I was mentioning before, there is some overlap in terms of what we do. So in terms of, making sure that we're helping you find a program based on what you may have stated that you're interested in, making sure that you have more insights into, like, what is it going to be like once I get there? What is the sort of academic background that I would need? Even, like just thinking about like the application as well. When are the application deadlines typically? How long does it take to apply for a visa? All these sort of touch points. But then, so it's like, it's definitely about what is best for the student. And again, typically in the advisor or consultant sort of lane, you have typically been someone who has sought this person out. So whether it was you walked into your study abroad office and you said, I really want to do this, I'm really interested in doing it, or you found someone like me and said, I really need help with this, it's typically where you have sought it out. And so, you are, committed to it, you're ready to work with this person, pay the fees and everything. But we have an understanding, as I said before, that it definitely is we're building a relationship, we're building a bond. And so again, for any student who comes to me, it's not about me and what I want to do. I've already studied abroad and done a lot of things around it, built a company around it. And so it really is for me about being able to help other students be able to realize that dream for themselves. And so there's kind of no harm intent. I'm not going to lead you down the wrong road. There's nothing in it for me to do that. And the same thing with consultants. I know quite a few study abroad consultants. Study abroad consulting is a lot more popular in Europe and in different parts of Asia as compared to here in the US, where there's more advisors because so many US students study through their school. So it's a lot different than a lot of other countries. But, a lot of study abroad consultants, like they're kind of the same where it's like, they really want to be able to help students find what is best for them. And they really get a joy out of working with the students and sort of seeing their plans come to fruition, but they don't necessarily dive deeper into the sort of weeds of every step of the process along the way. So I wanted to explain that. So that's kind of the structure of what you would find if you're working like someone like myself, to plan out your study abroad, or if you went to a consultant. Now, for agents, as I mentioned in the previous question as well, in the previous answer, it really is sales based. And so what that means is, to kind of counter that, that the structure of the program is very marketing based, because, as you may not know this, but being someone who has an extensive background in marketing, communications, all that stuff, marketing and sales are basically like best friends. They're best friends, or they're brother and sister, any way you want to kind of put it. And so it's like you have the sales front of it, whereas like, they're going to be trying to pitch you on a different program, maybe every other day, like this is what you need to do. But then also too, like it really is about trying to, I think in a way, like they definitely want to sort of sell you and market the benefits of particular programs. But you have to keep in mind what I said before is that agents are, they are not completely uncompromised in the sense of, if you are an agent working at the university level or the college level, maybe the community college level, maybe the, like whatever it is, technical college level, you may be working with 5 schools. And so for you, it's all about, here are the quotas I need to meet. Here are the seats I need to fill. This is a list of students who have come to me. They're interested in doing this. I need to make sure I get them enrolled. And so again, they will definitely try to sell you on the benefits of a program, but it may not be specifically what you want. It's, in a selfish way, it's about what they need because they need to fill a seat. And so if you think about any type of sales pitch that you've had unstudy abroad related, particularly, and my hat goes off to them. Like I have tried hard sales, and that is not for me. So, but just like sales in general, it's like, I mean, there's different level of sales, but like with a hard sale where you're trying to like get someone to get a product on the spot, like, like right away. Let's say something like a timeshare. I've worked in timeshare sales before. It is really, really tough if you like to build relationships. But I think that there is a place for the agents as well, because again, as I was saying, if you are a student who you really are just interested in getting into a program, it's not so much about where it is, what you're doing, you just really want the experience. I think that agents are really effective in that way because they're going to be able to just kind of cut through all of the kind of bull crap, right? Whereas like people like me who are advisors and consultants, there's much more of a softer approach in terms of making sure that you are getting what you want and you're excited. Whereas like agents, they're just kind of going to get to it and be like, this is not right for you. It's just like if you were going to like a, real estate agent and you're like, well, I wanted, a Tuscan style house. And, but I also want to go see this house over here that's a ranch style. And they're like, yeah, that's not for you. Like they just kind of cut through it. And so I think that there is definitely value in having an agent, but I think that you just need to consider that their particular approach is going to be a lot different than if you were working with someone like me, or if you're going to a study abroad consultant. So in terms of the fee structure, so this again is another space where advisors and consultants overlap, where we overlap with each other because most of our particular services are based on like fees. And so when I say fees, it means like based on like a fee for a service, right? So it'd be just like anything else where it's like you're paying someone for their time. So for example, when students first come to me, I do an introductory service, and that service is 30 minutes for $25. And I know that sounds really cheap, but then it's like typically I work with students over time, but I kind of just like to start it out that way because I really I feel that I know a lot of students are before what kind of usually typically what happens. Let me back up. Typically, what happens is that there are definitely some students out there that want to study abroad from the minute they get to college. But there are other students, and a lot of the students I work with, I have found, and it doesn't matter where they're coming from, what their, sort of parents or family economic background is, what any of those sort of distinguishable features. It's just that a lot of times they are trying to figure out like, because it is a big investment and, depending on what you're doing. And with a lot of students, they want to have it all figured out before they sort of, like say, hey, mom or dad or whoever, like I want to go and, study in, Frankfurt for a year, like here's how much it's going to cost, here's all this. And so, a lot of students, obviously, as everyone is online, they, want to try and find someone who's going to be able to help them with that before they sort of do everything. And so that's kind of why I have chosen to keep my prices low like that. I feel that that's just an added bonus because I get to work with so many students in the Live, Study, Learn Abroad Association. If you want to learn more about that, click down in one of the links below where you can hear more about what it is that we do with my business. But, I think that I can sort of speak for a lot of other advisors and consultants as well, where it's like, it really is just about that ability to be able to build those connections. And so you're going to pay like a certain flat fee every time that you meet with me, for example. And it's the same for most consultants, most advisors, but that fee typically doesn't change. And again, it's not based on, like I'm charging it because I'm giving you time, but I'm not charging it, just trying to get some commission or something like that. So it's like, it's a more like simple, sort of transactional fee-based model that most people would expect when they're purchasing a good, because a time is technically a good. And so that definitely makes sense to most people. I think that the part that is confusing is when you work with agents, where it's like a lot of times, like particularly if they're working with a college, it's like you would be paying the college, but then the agent gets a fee if, let's say, you decide to book. Let's say you work. I always like to like bottle it down. So let's say that you're going to a mid-level college somewhere, or mid-level university somewhere, and your school has maybe 7 different programs, but they don't work on filling the programs themselves. They may do some marketing around it, but they source that out to an agent. So the agent knows that they need to get 20 people in every single program. So 20 for China, 20 for London, 20 for Geneva, and so on and so on. And so for them, obviously, as we talked about before, the main point is to make sure that they do enough sales and enough marketing to make you want to buy it, but you're paying the school. And then so it's like it's almost disconnected, right? Because it's like you're not really paying someone for their time. The school is doing that. And that's also, can be a little bit controversial because you're thinking, well, like you're giving the school the money and then like how much are they getting paid? A lot of that is not disclosed. And so I think that that is just something to consider because like anything that is commission based, people like to know what the breakdown is of how that's going to work. And a lot of that information is not talked about. Also, too, um, unfortunately, and this is not, I mean, I don't really know a lot of study abroad agents, so maybe it doesn't matter that much. I don't think I know any personally, but I think that one of the other points too about study abroad agents is that like since they are just there for the sales and the marketing, that again, it's sort of another blow to people. They're like, like, do you really care about what I'm actually doing? And it just feels like so disconnected compared to an advisor who, number one, you're going to be building a relationship with, number two, who's going to be there, for you and sort of help you out throughout your process. And number three, who, obviously you're paying them because you're paying for a service, but you sort of understand that in a, society where capitalism happens and transaction of money happens, that works. But then there's not any sort of hidden fees and sort of kind of this weird cloud around where your money is going compared to working with an agent in the education business. So I think that that's definitely important to consider as you sort of think about the structure of fees. So anytime that you sort of see where it's going to be commission based, you can sort of like put in your mind like, okay, this is going to be an agent, or someone that's going to be trying to sell me something, versus if you see like I have a flat fee for every single advising session, that this is an advisor, or maybe they are just a consultant, I'm paying them for their time. Before we go, I just wanted to mention one important thing as well, is that in terms of consultants, you will find that they typically may have a little bit of a higher pricing than advisors. So, and this is very common as well across all industries. So you will find that a lot of times consultants will have a much higher rate per hour, but I think that that is just to kind of compensate for the fact that even though they are not giving you like a lot of their personal time, they're still putting in a lot of good effort, a lot of good work. And so you're basically just paying more to get a little bit less, if that makes sense, but it depends on what is going to work for you. So for example, I charge less, but I give more of my time. But that's what works for my particular structure because it curtails with my business. And also too, it's like I just really enjoy like building the relationships with a lot of these young people who are trying to study abroad. I just love hearing about it because I know exactly what that is like. And so I just get so much fulfillment from that. But for the consultants who are not doing that, they may charge more, but they can give you kind of the sort of simple basics of what you need. So if you need someone to sort of just advise, or not advise you, consult you on like the specifics of, like how many programs, in the UK or in nursing, how much it costs, all of that, they're still going to put a lot of care into it, but you're just going to get less time. So you may pay a little bit more. So I definitely want to mention that because as people are sort of thinking about that, they're like, well, you said that agent and consultant are sort of overlap in that way. And for the sense of the type of pay structure, that is true. But when you look at those prices, they definitely are going to be a lot stark different. And that you'll find that in all types of industries, most consultants are really expensive. There's a reason, because they're really efficient, but they tend to just give you less time, but still want more money. And so depending on what you're looking for, that may be better for you. Or you may want to work with someone like me, who's an advisor, who's going to charge you a little bit less, but give you more time, but definitely like give you the full experience of what you're going to need. Okay, and so that is the end of this week's video. So I hope that it was helpful for you to just sort of take an initial look at the differences between what advisors do, consultants do, and what agents do for study abroad. Because as I said before, I know that as you're going through your search online, you're going to see these three terms in particular a lot. And so I know that, just kind of looking at it, like when you hear those words, you've heard those words before in different contexts. And so you're probably in your mind thinking you knew what they were. But I definitely want to share those because I think that it's important. Again, I want every single person, whether you work with me or not, to have a good study abroad experience. And that definitely starts at the touch point of whoever you are working with to sort of get that done. That can definitely make or break it, because that person is going to help to guide you in the direction to get you to your study abroad destination, essentially. So it's definitely something to consider. So if you are, again, interested in learning more about my study abroad advising sessions, there is a link down in the description below, and I really hope to be able to work with you. Also, if you have not already, please like this video and share it. If you are a study abroad student, you probably have other friends who are looking to study abroad or are maybe interested in the next upcoming year or so. So definitely share it with them. And also please subscribe as well. I release videos every single Friday, and I hope to see you here on the next one.